Welcome to the Orlando Sentinel's Editorial Board interview with the candidates for Ocoee Mayor. We have 3 candidates in this race. 2 of the candidates, Chris Adkins, who is an Ocoee businessman, and George Oliver III, who has been on the commission and is resigning his commission seat to run for mayor, are challenging incumbent Mayor Rusty Johnson. He was invited to this and decided not to participate. However, he does have a website, as do all 3 candidates. So while we ask people to look at these interviews and our recommendations, but we also encourage people to do their own research and decide who best meets their values for the city. But we are going to start with talking about some of Ocoee's priorities. And I would like to start with Mr. Adkins, just to go in alphabetical order. Should you be elected mayor, and if no candidate gets 50% plus 1 in the elections in a couple weeks, early voting starts Monday, by the way, there will be a runoff, but should you be elected, what would be your top priorities for Ocoee over the next few years? And just basically between 1 and 3 priorities.
Thank you for the question and the opportunity at the Orlando Sentinel. It'll be very simple for me. The first thing I want to look at addressing is the infrastructure issues that we have. We've had projects and capital improvement projects that were supposed to start years ago and have different things that have come up, whether it be 80 MEMS and the building of retention ponds we weren't supposed to do or didn't permit. But I'd like to get staffing plans and projects and see if we're on time, not on time, over budget, or not on budget. Infrastructure has to be something key to growth. Number 2, I want to see where we are when it comes to the bonds. The city of Ocoee has 3 outstanding bonds currently, one specifically for the downtown master plan. So again, I want to see where we are in regards to the use of those funds, to the projects, and whether they've been completed on time, under time, on budget, or under budget. And then most of all, I want to actually accomplish something for our downtown, or the city of Ocoee, to get people here. We just have tried other things, whether 50 West or City Center or downtown, and they're all remnants of what they said they were going to be. We need a destination, and we need to be known for something. So those are the 3 things I'm going to start on immediately.
Thank you. Mr. Oliver, same question for you. If you're elected mayor, what would your top 3 priorities be?
First, thank you for this opportunity to speak to Orlando Sentinel, and Chris, thank you for joining us today. And I believe that yes, Chris has some great ideas about the first 3 things he wants to do. Mine is a little bit different, again, my first platform is accountability. I need to look at accountability. I got to get a operational audit done in our city. We need to know how financially healthy we are as a city, to build a great foundation. So getting that operational audit done in the city is going to be a priority for me. As the city turns on an average of $200 million worth of projects a year, we really need to know, are we financially healthy? The next thing I need to do is start establishing a mission and a vision for our city. We need to know where we're going as far as the mission and the vision is concerned. Right now, we don't have a mission, we don't have a vision. We've been in existence for almost 100 years. We have over 50,000 residents, and we just don't have a mission or a vision, which is almost unheard of. And you got to start somewhere. To me, that would be a great starting point. And then finally, after we set up that mission and vision, we need to establish strategic goals for our city. We need to have strategic goals, strategic planning, strategic drivers that drive everything that we do, which also drive everything that Chris is speaking of. Those strategic goals and drivers, that strategic plan will help move those projects along efficiently without change orders and without spending money that we shouldn't be spending.
Ocoee's combined millage rate, and you have both spoken to financing projects. Its combined millage rate puts it in the middle of the pack among Orange County cities. And as you know, the city will not have the benefit of the penny infrastructure tax because voters did not approve it. So is the city's millage rate going to be adequate to meet its needs? Do you think that there is a reason to consider raising or lowering it at the next opportunity? And we'll start with Mr. Oliver, Commissioner Oliver.
That is an excellent question. When we start looking at our millage rates, and I know we're right in the middle of the road when we talk about Orange County cities, but when we look at West Orange County and the cities around us, we're on the top tier of that millage rate. And one of the issues we look at is that why do we year after year continue, even though our millage rate's going down, why do we continue to be at the very top of that when it comes to millage rate and our taxes? That's because we're not doing anything aggressively. We're not really looking at a plan to lower our millage rate below our sister cities around us. And if they go down 2 points and we go down 2 points, we're still at the top of that millage rate. So what we need to look at doing is what can we do according to a plan, a little more strategically, to lower our millage rates. And again, that should always be our goal, to always lower our millage rates, to keep our taxes down. We have reserve. We have a healthy reserve. There's a lot of ways that we can actually spend some of that money, just a little bit of that money, to be able to keep our tax rates and our millage rates just below the average in the city. If we are able to at least just get within the average, then that is a lot of progress for us as a city. So again, we just got to figure out how do we get off that top tier of high percentages of millage rates and in our taxes. And I think that we have a healthy reserve to do so. But again, without that audit, we have no idea how to go about planning on lowering our millage rates.
Thank you. All right. Chris Adkins, if you could tackle the same question.
Yes, ma'am. George has actually pointed it out, and he's correct. If you look at millage rates from a top down, you have to actually look at it from a population density, from a size density as well. So you can't compare Ocoee, Winter Garden, Belle Isle, Winter Park, Windermere, the same as you can, let's say, Eatonville or Oakland when it comes to just a number. But the city of Ocoee for more than a decade has been at the highest if you do it in a comparable rate to the other cities like us for a long time. We've menially reduced them, but you know what upsets me the most, actually, is the regressive taxation the city of Ocoee's put in place. See, anytime you charge somebody with non-ad valorem fees that are fake taxes that charge the same amount, whether it's for $1 million house or $100,000 house, and it makes veterans and disabled pay that fee when they may be exempt from taxes, and then we don't talk about that as the whole overall picture, then we're really kind of misleading the taxpayer itself. So the city of Ocoee citizens not only pay a millage rate, they pay non-ad valorem fees. Those fees were used to secure a bond and will be there for at least 30 years.
All right, Mr. Adkins, I'll start with you. You mentioned that one of your priorities is finding new ways to get people here, whether it's visitors, whether it's people to move to Ocoee. You mentioned a couple of specific examples, but I'm wondering some of the things that you've mentioned are very general, such as infrastructure projects. You've mentioned some examples of things that have not worked, but what are some specific ideas looking forward to getting and keeping people here?
Well, I think it starts with the quality of life. I think our first responders have to be instrumental in that, and we've kind of let them down through the years. We've had some issues with our fire department. I've been lucky enough to lobby and try to help the best I can to get them to a place where they need to be. When it comes to infrastructure projects, when you say they're general, you're right. The problem is we don't have a specific plan in place. If I pave a road in a neighborhood and I pave it and I know in 10 years it's going to need to be paved again, I should be able to access, whether it be from the city level or a taxpayer level, a schedule of when that's going to be done. We should be being proactive. See, what we always do is we're reactive, or we do something to put a fire out, or we make a mistake. I'm going to put things in place and plans in place that are transparent so people can see what we're doing it, as we're doing it, when we're going to do it. And then I'm going to make it sure it's transparent on our website. When we complete a project, I want to say whether it's over or under budget, on or under time, because that comes back to what George said earlier when it comes to accountability. I can't find anything. I know that Clark Road expansion past 80 Mims was supposed to happen 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they promised us, they put silt fence up and signs, and we're starting tomorrow. It's 2 years later. That's just, we got to do better than that. That much I can tell you.
Mr. Oliver, similar question. You mentioned the need for the city to have a mission and a vision. What does that mission and vision look like when it comes to you? What are the specific improvements that you want to see made in terms of starting out?
That's actually Jay, that's an excellent question, because when you mention mission and vision to most folks, they think that someone sits down at a desk, they just kind of pin out a mission and a vision and then sells it to everyone. Everybody buys in. It actually doesn't work like that. It's a little more inclusive. What has to happen in order for us to establish a foundation, a mission and a vision, we have to get all the citizens involved. Every citizen in the city of Ocoee has to get involved in this. We start by holding town hall meetings. There should be a series of town hall meetings that discuss where we are and where we're trying to go. And from there, we can start to create a narrative of what the citizens think about our vision and how do we actually get to that vision. Then we do a series of and we actually, it probably takes somewhere between 6 months to 9 months to actually get a great vision and a mission, as long as we get participation from the citizens. I believe that right now the citizens of Ocoee they're ready for this mission, they're ready for this vision, and with their input, we're going to create a great foundation. We're going to create that vision for the city, and then we're going to build a mission around that, and everything from there, that will be the foundation. We'll start building our strategic goals, strategic plans around that mission and that vision. So everything we do, everything we say, every dollar we spend is going to be within the perimeters of that strategic plan, and it all starts with a mission and a vision.
Because we kind of changed the question up, if we'd like to take another 30 seconds and each of you answer each other's question, that would be fine. So why don't we do that just quickly?
Yeah, that's great. I actually want to make a comment on something George said, because he's right. As leaders of your community, you got to get community involvement to make decisions on where we're going to go and what we want to do. We need their input. It's actually their money. And in 2015, the city of Ocoee did town halls. They sat down with residents. They said, hey, we want to build a downtown. We want to take a $41 million loan. We want to give you all this. What do you want? And then in 2017, we got the bond. In 2023, the only thing they've accomplished through that whole amount of time is build another city hall that costs twice as much. So my point is, if we're going to hold these town halls and we're going to actually get the input from the taxpayers of the city, we should follow through with what we say when we say it.
Okay. Mr. Oliver, did you want to address that?
Actually, yes, I can, because I think Chris is right. He's absolutely right. And again, it starts with accountability. Again, the city of Ocoee promised to do something with a bond, a municipal bond that we took out in 2015, and here we are, 2023, and the only thing we've been able to accomplish is a city hall. That you're right. We started at $11 million, and now we ended up at $25 million. So you're absolutely right. And again, as your next mayor, one of the things that I'm looking at doing is, with that mission, that vision, in those town hall meetings, again, with strategic goals and strategic drivers in place, those town hall meetings are not just held to be something that we're going to talk about and not put into action. So with a strategic goal, we can implement those. We can implement our town hall meetings and the plans that come through those town hall meetings with actually a scope of work that we're going to do, as well as every step along the way. We should actually know exactly where we are, what we're doing, how much we're spending, and how far we are from our goals. And to follow up from that, we should also be able, from those town hall meetings that we hold, as well as surveys, we should also be able to circle back and let folks know exactly what we've accomplished. So the second or third town hall meeting is a meeting of accomplishments. This is what we've done, thanks to your input.
Thank you. Jay, did you have another question?
Sure, I can jump in with another one. I wanted to ask both of you about growth and housing in the area. Managing growth is something that we talk to with city leaders all over the Central Florida area. And I wondered what what does the future look like in terms of new housing in the area? Is it going to be geared more towards single family, multifamily, affordable housing? What would be your vision as mayor for something like that? And we'll start with Mr. Oliver.
I think that one of the things that comes to mind when we think about responsible growth. Responsible growth starts with, again, I can't not stop going back to my strategic plan. It goes back to things like when we have these static water basins and we're building around those water basins, and we're pushing water to different places, and just because someone was grandfathered in to build a development there, and we don't hold them accountable for what they say they're going to do as far as infrastructure, roads, and things of that nature. So we have to start with a plan to say, hey, how do we do responsible growth? How do we look at our ecosystem, our wetlands, our green space, and the growth that we need around that? So a plan would actually allow us to be able to do what I would call responsible growth. Again, when we knowing that now that we have to get permits from the St. John Water Management District to build around those static water basins, because again, what happens when we have a 100-year storm, which we seem to have every other year or so? How do you move that water when it just when the water tables go up so high that you're flooding folks out on the other side because you're building on one side and don't have the correct retention ponds, or it's not done properly? So we have to think along those lines. We got to be able to look at those things. The ecosystem, we have to look at responsible growth. And we also have to look at affordable housing. Affordable housing is not just for a small group of people. Affordable housing, think about the students that we have. I know students that go to school in Gainesville, but they have to come back to Orlando or Ocoee to live and go back and forth every day because we don't have any affordable housing either in Gainesville, nor do we have affordable housing in West Orange County. So we need to start looking at the developers and say, what about affordable housing for college students? How do we keep them in an area where they can live, work, and play? So we have to think about in those terms, more broader perspectives, and that's my answer to that question. So thanks for that question.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Mr. Adkins, what does housing and growth look like in Ocoee under a Mayor Adkins administration?
Balanced. I think one of the things that we've done is we've taken a developer approach to our expansion, meaning we've put it in developers' hands. They'll build as tall as they can, as wide as they can, as fast as they can. That's why we have some of the infrastructure problems we have. I think everything comes back to home ownership, right? So if you want to have the American dream, we got to keep home ownership close to individuals, make it where it's affordable. We talk about affordable housing, but we build 6,000 square foot houses on 12,000 square foot lots and charge $700,000 for them. We don't think about affordable as part of energy costs or maintenance costs or any of those types of things. I think we have to look at a balanced approach of single family growth, some small multifamily growth, and regulate the amount of apartments that we have come in here, because apartments actually are the home buyer's killer, right? When you're paying $2,000, $2,200 for a one-bedroom apartment, you're working two jobs and you can't make ends meet. How are you going to save up to get a house? And how do you use that house as leverage to build financial wealth or credit? So the city has to pay attention when we're growing to these things and help. We have to be the eyes and ears for our taxpayers and people who may come in. I'd also like to address some of the commercial leasing areas that we have. You're going to start to see abandonments and vacancies. Those are some areas we should at least consider thinking about some affordable housing. I'm not sure how it'll look, but I'm pragmatic and I'm open to any ideas if it helps our community get better, as long as it's fair for everyone.
Thank you. We just have time for a few more questions. One of the questions that we always want to ask is if you could give us your impression of Rob Frank's performance as city manager. Are you satisfied with him continuing on in that role? And we will start with Mr. Adkins.
No, I'm not satisfied. I don't have anything personal against Mr. Frank, but the buck stops with city management. See, a lot of times I catch flack because I'm running for mayor. And I hear, well, it's not the mayor's fault or this or that. Well, no, it's the diocese and the mayor's responsibility as leaders to hold city management accountable. And what I see is I see patterns and trends. Since he's gotten here, he put a plan in place to tax us, to get non-ad valorem fees, to get us to a point to get bonds by our bond rating moving up, by getting the bonds, by promising stuff, and then by not delivering. Again, having a plan is one part of a process, but I judge you on your execution. And the execution, in my opinion, nope, has not been adequate. And as mayor or leader, I would have been asking questions a while ago. That's where I stand.
Thank you. Mr. Oliver, if you could tackle the same question, Mr. Frank's performance as city manager.
No, I could actually say ditto to what Chris just said. You know, I've been on the commission for 5 years now. And over the past 3 years, I've asked, looking at the city charter and asking where is the evaluation for our city manager. This is the person that runs our city. And it has fallen on deaf ears, even to the point where it put up a motion to say, okay, I need to see an evaluation from the city manager. Well, I'm only one vote. If I can't get the other 2 votes to do this, then it falls on deaf ears. So I believe in, again, with accountability. And it starts with that. We should have been evaluating Mr. Frank at least 5 years since I've been there. I have not seen one evaluation on him. And I have seen the plan. I've seen a comprehensive plan, but I have not seen a strategic plan. I have seen the failure to execute the comprehensive plan. I've seen that we've, again, as Chris stated, the ad valorem taxes. There's a plan to raise the taxes to get the money in. And what has happened is I've seen them pad. We've padded our finances on one side to show to make it look as if we are financially healthy, but again, on the other end, we've been operating our funding, our finances haphazardly since I've been there. So again, there needs to be some accountability, and I'm not happy with the performance. Again, as he stated, I have nothing personal against Mr. Frank, but I do believe it's time for something new. We need something new. We need fresh ideas. We need to be able to take this city in a whole nother direction that we will be able to leave a legacy for Generation Z and Generation Alpha.
Thank you. We are coming toward the end of our time. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us. There is so much else we could talk about, but we do try to keep these to a watchable length for our readers. One thing I would like to remind everybody seeing this video is that we will be making a recommendation in this race, but all 3 candidates in this race, as I said earlier, have websites, very good comprehensive websites for each of them that lay out their vision for the city's future. Please take the time to take a look and make a decision about who best represents your values. Because while we make our recommendation, the most important recommendation is the one that the voters will make at the polls in a couple of weeks. So we do thank you for joining us. And now we're going to give our 2 candidates a minute and a half to do a closing statement. And I have a little picker here, and it came up. Mr. Oliver goes first, Mr. Adkins goes second, and then we will allow a very, very brief, like 30-second response from both of you as well. So start first with a minute and a half close on why you should be the person that voters choose.
Again, thank you for this time. And one thing I would want to say, as your next mayor, one of the things I would love to see, I would like to work with Mr. Adkins in any capacity that I can. I think that Mr. Adkins and I have similar ideas as to how we move our city forward. I agree with probably most of the things that Mr. Adkins says because they're pragmatic and they make sense. And that's the leadership that we need. So again, as the next mayor, I would like to work with Chris in any way that I possibly can to move our city forward. So as a mayor, one of the things that I talked about is accountability. Accountability is getting that audit done. Accountability is being able to say we need to establish a mission and a vision for our city. We need to be able to look at our infrastructure for the city, retail economic development for our city. We need to look at things like responsible growth for our city. How do we build around static water basins, and what happens in that 100-year storm? And how do we move water out of there? Those kind of things that we need to address immediately. And again, this is one of the reasons why I'm running for mayor, is because of these things have not happened in the past 5 years that I've been there. Again, I only have one vote in the city, and I think that as mayor, I would have more of an influence to be able to say, hey, let's work together as a city commission and let's get some of these things done. Let's set a foundation for this city that we can actually build upon, and start building upon that, so we can start looking at the 40-year plan that I've established. You can find it on my website, georgeoliverformayor.com. I have a 10-point plan that takes us 40 years, and it focuses on planting the seeds down for Generation Z and Generation Alpha. So for those reasons, that is why I'm running for mayor of the city of Ocoee. Thank you so much. Come out and vote George Oliver for mayor, March 14th. I hope to see you at the polls.
Okay, Mr. Adkins.
Everything starts with leadership. And I think that we've had a lack of that for a while as a city. And when I'm elected mayor, I thank you very much, George, for the kind words, Mr. Oliver. And I was proud when he became a commissioner. You know, I'm ready to work with anybody. I'm not a person who picks a side or a box, okay? I have a personal belief, but I have to govern for everybody, not just one side or another side, or one financial group or another financial group. It has to be all inclusive for everybody. And what I'm going to do when I win is I'm going to take my background of not only leadership, but an understanding of operations. And I'm going to help the city of Ocoee become a cleaner, safer, more efficient, more productive city to live in. That way I can be more transparent and hold people accountable. And like I said, I'm ready to work with anybody on March 17th when I take office. I'm excited for the opportunity. And I hope the Lord blesses me with the opportunity and chance to become your next mayor. I got to say one thing to everyone out there, whether it's Ocoee or not. Voting locally is the most important thing you could do. From the programs your children go to the schools, to the sidewalks they walk on, to the streets they drive on, to the taxes that they pay. Everything starts locally. So vote local, please. And vote March 14th for Chris Adkins. God bless you.
Thank you very much. I think actually we both of you ended on a very strong note. I really appreciate you taking the time. Do we have anything else that either of you wanted to address very briefly? Or I think
if I could go real quick, I'd like to just take a quick second to say thank you to George. I know he's traveling and he's doing some training, and I know he took some time out of his day to be able to do this. It's unfortunate Mr. Johnson wasn't able to attend this event. He didn't attend one this weekend with another press too, so that's sad. But I value your time, George. I value everyone at the Sentinel's time for this, and thank you very much.
The sentiment is right back at you, man. And again, I have a tremendous amount of respect for you and who you are as a person. So I'm looking forward to the future and what it holds for our city, with you and I working together in whatever capacity that may be. I'm looking forward to moving our city forward in the direction that we all can be proud of.
Okay, that's a great note to end this on. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing the outcome of the election.